Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast, episode 796. Just 4 episodes away from 800. Uh, this is your host, Cyril Gerald Quinn, as we look at another week in the league where no contract is guaranteed. As always, breaking down alongside of me, breaking down the NFL action of this week, this past week, is Robert Sapp. Mr. Sapp, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, doing pretty good, doing wonderful. How's everything going with you?
Hey, I'm not complaining. The weather's nice, so it's all good in the DMV. Um, interesting week. Interesting. It's been an interesting month, really, of the NFL season. Last 3 to 4 weeks, and we'll get to the categories. Let's go back about a week to some Thanksgiving Day action. No one cared. And again, I'm gonna apologize to the Bears and Detroit fan, but no one cared about that game.
At all?
To be kind of honest, I watched the fourth quarter. I was wondering. I thought Detroit might actually had a chance to win the game.
Yeah,
Uh,
that
but
last. I watched the last 5 minutes, and everybody was like, "Why are you watching this?" I was like, "Close. At least it's close. Come
yeah,
on."
yes, it had that going for it. At least
Yep.
it was close. But putting that aside, there was some interesting action in particular the Dallas Vegas game, and we're going to begin there. Las Vegas taking out Dallas 36-33 in the overtime. A very wildly entertaining penalty-filled game that featured. This game had everything. I mean, you had well over 900 yards of total offense. Both quarterbacks, for the most part, played well. You had 28 penalties, okay, for about well over 200 yards of penalties. And you know the old adage, 10 yards, 10 penalties, 100 yards is like 7 points. They say will be is the equivalent of 7 points. Every 100 yards, you get 100 yards worth of penalties. No turnovers. No, there were no turnovers in this game. So a wild game. Um, you know, the Raiders controlled the clock, had the ball almost 40 minutes. They marched down the field basically at will. And really, I get the Raiders a lot of credit. It is people on Thanksgiving again. Now, I'm going to sound crazy by saying this, but normally the home team on Thanksgiving, unless like the opposition is just that much better. And we've seen a number of mismatches over the course, like those years when New England would come to Detroit and just do what they do with Belichick and Brady with a getter. But normally the home team should have a significant advantage on Thanksgiving Day, considering the short week. But lately that has not been the case. You have 8 straight wins by the road teams on Thanksgiving Day, which is kind of remarkable when you think about it. I give the Raiders a lot of credit. I don't want to hear from Dallas fans about the penalties. Both teams got called for penalties. That pass interference was clearly a pass interference. And by the way, they've been calling that more. The face guarding, they've been calling that more this year versus past years. They were off it for about a couple years where they wouldn't call face guarding where you don't turn your back to play the ball, which to me used to be just automatic. But last couple years they had really, kind of been inconsistent with it. This year they brought it back more so where if you don't make a play on the ball, they have your back turned to where you don't see the ball. They're gonna more like if you make contact receiver, they're gonna more likely call a pass interference. That was the case. Um, and that was the case. And Dallas tried to make it a little interesting with the field goal blocks to where they were offsides, clearly offsides. But I give the Raiders a lot of credit. It looked like their season was in turmoil the last couple of weeks, and it looked like I didn't believe that they could possibly recover. But now they find themselves 6-5, and they play my team, which is certainly a winnable game despite how well we're playing. Um, so I give the Raiders a tremendous amount of credit. it would be easy for me to go destroy Dallas. So I'll give you the Dallas angle of this. What were your thoughts from a Dallas perspective?
Yeah, that's funny.
That is funny.
Yeah, um, the I mean, like it was actually a very well played game. Um, in terms of both teams' willingness to go after it and go after the win. It felt like a playoff atmosphere. So that's very cool for like a Sunday game to actually have a real back and forth battle. Honestly, I don't have a whole lot of negatives on the Dallas side. I mean, I think the things that keep coming up with Dallas are the things that have always come up with Mike McCarthy teams. Iffy management of time and situational football, being uh making some interesting pass calls when it seems like a run would have really helped in that situation. And then um and then just the resiliency of of the Cowboys can always be put into question for a variety of different reasons. But it's interesting. Me and you were both talking offline about like the fans and their reactions. It seems like the team can also get into that space of becoming too high during the times where they're on top, and I think that can play into things that happen like what we saw on Thursday. And then the last thing that I'll say is what's also been a hallmark of Mike McCarthy teams, and especially Mike McCarthy with the Cowboys, is discipline being an issue. And I think that's where you get some of those penalties and some of the things that's happening, even as players are making really good plays. The inconsistency of good team discipline can be the difference between winning and losing, and that actually was the difference in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I could not agree with you more on that. They find a way to constantly get in their own way, even when they have great talent. I mean, again, they've had years that I've seen them with years, even with and I think Dak is better than Tony Romo, but they've had years with Tony Romo where the team was loaded up and down the board, and they probably should have went far further, but something would always. It was like you said, situational football. Even before McCarthy was the coach, of course, it was just not being able to get out of their own way, some way, shape, or form, and that goes at the core to me of their culture and who their owner is. Uh, if we want to you dig that much deeper from that standpoint. And by the way, and I'll be fair with the Cowboys if possible. Over the last 3 or 4 years, they have done actually a much better job in terms of drafting and developing talent. Like Jerry has somewhat not turned over the reins, but he's listening more so than he was, say, 8 or 9 years ago. But it's just it's just as an owner, you just gotta get. I mean, you have to completely entrust the people who you have under you. And to me, I just don't see how. Like, I don't see you can be. I don't think you can be a championship franchise with no general manager or no president that you completely trust in terms of how with your football and your football coaching. The problem with Jerry Jones is he wants to be the star. That's the problem.
Oh,
Different. He wants to be the star. And a great owner, if you're a great owner, you're not worrying about trying to be a star. You're just worrying about doing whatever it takes to win chips. So Jerry believes he can do both, be the star and win the chips, and it has not worked out at all. It just hasn't worked out in the last almost 30 years now because he couldn't handle when Jimmy Johnson was the star. So when we discussed that earlier in verbatim, we discussed that tremendously over the last a few weeks back when
yeah.
you brought that question up. So listen, they're a talented team. They are still in line to win the division. but there's no way. And I said this to you a couple weeks ago.
You've been
The one thing
you've
about
been
I didn't
yep.
yeah, the one thing I didn't trust about them was I said the defense. I said their defense. I'm always worrisome of defenses that generate a lot of turnovers because at a certain point, when happens when you start playing better teams and those turnovers stop or you're not getting those turnovers. So I never was completely sold on this defense being a staunch defense that can just go out there and stop people. And that Trayvon Diggs bandwagon has cooled off just a tad, just a smidge.
Well, I mean, he exemplifies kind of like what we're talking about. Like while he can make a spectacular play, he also gives
Lacks
up some
discipline.
plays as well.
Yes,
Yep.
lacks discipline. Good. Listen, phenomenal talent, phenomenal physical talent. Played at Alabama. I watched him at Alabama. He was a beast. And I'm not saying this guy can be a future All Pro, but yeah, the discipline is not there right now. The nightcap, your team, the Buffalo Bills, handled their
Yep.
business um, against a banged up Saints team, and I think that was kind of like you when I text you, you kind of were like
Yeah.
you were not. I mean, obviously you enjoyed the win, but you were like you wasn't too excited because you know that
No.
this was not the Saints are not these are not the Saints.
No.
What were your thoughts on this game?
Um. Yeah. I mean, like it wasn't a good game. Um. It,
Hmm.
in terms
It was
of
not well played.
um,
No,
it wasn't it did like it wasn't a competitive balance. It
no.
just wasn't. Um. It take all names off the jerseys. You got the third string quarterback starting for one team. They don't have anything even remotely close to number one receiver. We know what happened with that situation, and their top two running backs out, as well as missing. I believe they're missing pieces from the offensive line, if I'm not correct.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
So,
Ramchick
anyways,
was out.
I think the final total I heard was what 15 of the starters were out,
Yeah.
maybe even a little bit more than that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Um, so like that's what I mean. It just the balance just wasn't even there. My fear that what would happen before all the injuries were known was that they would unveil the Taysom Hill offense against our team and test our physicality. That was not available to them in any stretch or form, and so it was a game where the team had to take care of business, right? If they lose that game, I'm disgusted. I'm
Oh,
actually
you
thoroughly
would.
disgusted, right?
I,
So it's
yeah.
like, of course, they had to win that game and take care of business there. But in terms of what it told me about my team, it told me absolutely nothing about the Buffalo Bills. And um, did not instill me with a tremendous amount of confidence going into the Patriots game on Monday night.
Yep. Yeah, I have enough. We will talk about that further later on in the podcast with the Bills and Patriots. And by the way, I'm telling you right now, if you are someone who does not like the Patriots, I don't. This may not be the podcast for you. This
Yes.
could be. It's gonna be a lot of Patriots. I looked over the rundown and I went through it. Be a lot of
It is
Patriots.
what it is.
It's what it is. Listen,
It
I gotta just call it the way I see it. I can't. The tape don't lie, as the
really
coaches
doesn't.
would say.
It
The
really,
tape
really
doesn't
doesn't.
lie.
It really
Speaking of the Patriots, I think they might be. They are. Yeah, I think they are our first back-to-back winners of Who Won the Week. Um, Listen, I was looking for somebody else. I could not. It just to me, I don't think that it was close. Really, I thought about the Raiders considering what they went through, but I was like, in terms of who's playing the best football right now, it's not even an issue. The Patriots are, and I put it right here, are running through the league. They won six straight. Even and we spoke about this early in the season. Even their losses have been highly competitive for the most part. They lost to Dallas at home, lost to Tampa Bay at home. Both were certainly winnable games. Um, they are not just beating teams; they're killing them. Like their average margin of victory is like 25 points. They've been they've outscored their opponents 211 to like I had the numbers right in front of me. I think it's like just some ridiculous number. I had 211 to 60 something, I believe. They had the number one point differential in the league, which they finally overtook the Bills for that. It's by like 2 points. They have not been scored upon in the second half in their last 4 games, and they just what they just methodically take you apart, and they just wait for you to make mistakes. Over this streak, they have only committed 4 turnovers, while their opponents have committed 17. So, and the Tennessee game I thought was going to be at halftime you're thinking, oh, this game is going to be tight throughout. Both of these teams are comfortable in playing. Patriots play close games. Tennessee is definitely comfortable in playing a tight game, and the Patriots were like, nah, we think we're going to put this away in the third quarter, which is exactly what they did. And Tennessee didn't score in the second half. What are your thoughts on this just dominant run? It really is a historical dominant run as far as the point differential. Like their point, I was looking at their numbers. Their point differential is like 7th all time in a 6 game winning streak, and teams that are ahead of them are like the 84 49ers, 2007 Patriots, teams like that. What are your thoughts?
Yep. Actually, all the thoughts I have on this, but my overarching one is this is eerily similar to how they started off. This is eerily
Wow,
similar,
yeah,
and
yeah. Oh wow,
I
yeah,
hate the comparisons.
yeah. But
Up
no,
until this
you're
point, I've
right
been like,
though.
blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah,
this is eerie. It's eerie. I watched that. I experienced that. Not no damn watching it. I experienced that.
yes, you experience.
And I
Yes,
had the exact same feelings then as I did now. The only difference is I didn't have the 20 years of evidence
right.
that I have
Yeah,
now. Um, this year will be whatever it is.
right.
Do I believe the Patriots have the talent roster wise to be the Super Bowl champion? No, I do not. Um, we'll get to this year as a whole. This year is weird and strange. So at
Right.
this point in time, there are very few things I'm writing off. But
Yep.
whatever with this year. They're not coming. They're here. They're
They're
here.
here. No, it's not. No, they're
They're
here. It's here. No, they're here.
And what's terrifying is when they do actually get those weapons on offense. They're doing this now.
Yeah.
I need the league, everybody, to be as anxious as I am.
Yeah,
I
man.
really do. I really do. I cannot handle another run like that.
Oh,
So, it is deeply humbling to watch what Belichick and his staff are doing on that offensive side of the ball. There's no way I would have believed Mac Jones would have gotten here this quickly. There's just no way. There's
No,
no way. There's
no.
no way. And he's not what he will be at it by any stretch of the imagination. But I thought I would see this comfortable Mac Jones in an offense built around his comfort and his skill set somewhere around the 5th game next season. Not now. Not now. Not 6 in a row wins, not smashing teams, not historic differential. None of that did I expect right now. And it's here, and it's the reality of the situation. So that's what I mean by it's deeply humbling. I was listening to Bill's radio this morning, and the point was just made about like anxiety and people talking about the Patriots and what Patriot, everything like that. It's like, all right, but they've won 6 in a row. So until somebody knocks them up, shuts them up, they get all the talk they deserve.
Yep.
And they deserve it. And it's just there.
No.
It's just flat out. It's just flat out is what it is. Tennessee ran the ball for over 200 yards for them, and they beat the hell out of them.
Yeah, 270 yards without Derrick Henry.
That's insane. I've never seen a coach. Babel said, I loved our game plan.
Right.
And we executed it well. And he was right.
Yep.
And they still got smashed. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, that is the mind F that Belichick puts on your teams. It's like, how is that even possible? And the way that's possible is the flip side of what you're talking about. Teams that rely on turnovers, what the Patriots rely on every side of the ball, everywhere, all throughout the organization, is team discipline and technique.
Yes.
They turned the ball over 5 times.
Yes.
On the Titans. They did that.
Yeah.
Intentionally. And it was the technique of, we're going to give up some. Belichick, this is hallmark. Whether it's running, passing, I hadn't seen it used this way before with him. Like my legendary in my mind and statement that rings in my mind so many times is Belichick and Parcells talking about the Bills in Super Bowl 25.
Oh yeah, yep. I knew you were
and being
going.
like,
Yep.
Thurman Thomas will be MVP of the game.
Yep. He's going to be the best player on the field. Yep.
Yep. We're going to give him that.
Yep.
But the ability to cause the turnovers wasn't there. Or that it just that wasn't a thing. And I haven't really seen it be a thing, to be honest with you, all my years watching football. But that was that. I don't know. They saw something. They saw something on tape. And it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. They're magicians. They're magicians. They're wizards. They've made a deal with the devil. Whatever it is, they're here, and I need the rest of the league to understand that and react accordingly. I need my team to understand that deeply in their soul and react accordingly. Because a lot of people have said this is Belichick's best coaching job. I've heard that a lot, and I could not agree more.
Yep.
I could not agree.
No question. I don't think it's a question.
And I've been obsessed with the Patriots. I'm obsessed with them.
Yeah, of course.
So like I watch this team obsessively. I read about this team obsessively. I hear it obsessively, all the things, hate watch, all those things. So I'm telling you, as someone who would rather be doing anything right now than admitting this. Anything, literally anything. Take me to the dentist and have them take out my teeth one by one with pliers. Anything rather than saying this. I am telling you, they're here.
Yes.
And it only gets worse from here. It only gets worse.
Yeah, man. I mean, they just put so much pressure on you as far as
you have to
execute. Yeah. They put so much, I mean, it just, and you get the sense that teams just press and it's like a pressure point, and teams just eventually break. Like to your point a couple of weeks ago, and you've been saying this throughout the course of this streak, you have to have an all-world type quarterback that can just cover for mistakes that your team may make, or who is just that disciplined or have just a next level understanding of the game of football. Like you had to have that level of quarterback. And to be honest with you, right now, even that level of quarterback, there are some flaws that they can we saw what they did to Brady this year. You know what I'm saying? With Tampa Bay. It was just the fact that, Tampa Bay had just enough to get by. But yeah, I mean, it's just like it's the coaching is they've been it's something to behold. Like it's all there is to it. The execution, the preparation that they're just smarter than everybody else.
What do you do in the tough times? What do you do when there are no fans around, nobody's prying and everything? Those are the moments. Those are the building blocks of a team. Those moments we will never ever see. Those are the things that make championship teams.
Right.
And those are the moments that, quite honestly, Belichick and his staff excel in. My quiet fear and what absolutely ultimately happened, and of course it happened because Belichick's great, is that they learn from those losses. Those are building block losses. And that was
Right.
my fear at the time. I'm just like, they're playing these teams that theoretically should be destroying them. They're playing them so tough.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
losing close. And
But
I enjoyed the misery of fans, but in my
yeah.
mind, my fear is, man, that was way too close, and they're going to learn a lot, and Belichick's going to be able to turn this into something, and he
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely did.
Yeah. I mean, it
He
began. I mean,
absolutely
it
did.
really it began with that Tampa Bay game.
Yep,
So
yep,
we both thought that was going to be us. I mean, we were just yeah. This is going to be an ass whooping. Just
yep.
matter how many. Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted
Exactly.
it. I
Yeah.
did. I
You
wanted
did.
it.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
did.
You won.
I
You
did.
did. Yeah. Yeah. No. No. We will certainly talk more about the upcoming showdown in the AFC East. They are currently, and we'll get to the standings as well. So we'll examine the standings and I'll get your thoughts on that. But damn, man.
They're half game. They're half game. Oh, I
No,
know
no, I
this.
know the standing. I know, but I
Upside
understand.
down. Yeah, they're
We
half
had,
game ahead. Yep.
yeah, no, they're half game ahead of y'all. Yeah, I mean, Patriot fans, they got a right to be giddy. I can't,
They should be. They should
they
be. They
should, they
absolutely
should,
should be.
they absolutely, without question, should be.
And that's
Re-
fine. Everybody else needs to have the appropriate amount of fear. I need everybody
yes,
else
yes,
to
fear and
the
respect.
appropriate
Yes,
amount. Not like we're going to be scared of them, but the appropriate amount of we're not going to let them run roughshod over us.
right. Yeah, real or not. Um, so Russell Wilson again. Before everybody jumps off the ledge, yeah, Russell Wilson is an all-world quarterback. He'll be a future Hall of Famer. My question is, will he be in a Seattle uniform in 2022? Real or not? What are your thoughts?
Mm, wow. I'm going to say, I'm going to say he. I'm not sure which one is the real. He he will be in a Seattle Seahawks uniform next season. I don't think you come back here's how I say it. If he had not come back early, if he would have taken the maximum amount of time or even a little bit more, that would have been my signal that he was out. Because up until that point in time, I was thinking similarly to where I think you're getting at. Um, I was thinking he would be gone next season. I now no longer think that because he came back so early. So
Um,
that's the
this
not real. I'm saying not real.
okay. So this is going to be a push for me,
Okay.
because I think he came back because he's just insanely competitive guy,
Sure.
quarterback who wants to be out there for his team.
Sure.
I don't even think it was about the future of the franchise or him wanting or thinking that he had owed Seattle, the organization, anything from that standpoint. I'm not saying you're saying that, but I think that I, my bigger point in this is I think that if I'm the owner of Seattle, I think I'm ready to move on from the Pete Carroll, John Snyder era, to be honest with you. And I think that if those two come back, it becomes to me real that he's not in the uniform. Because I'm Russell Wilson. These players in multiple, especially basketball and football, are smarter than ever when it comes to their surroundings, culture, things of that nature. This thing, again, it was a great run. They came in together. Carroll, 70 years old. Snyder, whatever, his age is not inconsequential. He's still young. He'll get another job. We know this. And Pete Carroll, I can see Pete Carroll getting another job if they moved on from him. But the point is, they came in 2010. It's 2021. That run, nothing lasts forever. And I just don't see, if I'm Russell Wilson, how I'm moving forward with these two at the helm. Snyder, Carroll is the head coach, and as well as also vice president as well. He has a lot of power. Snyder, of course, is built, help. built this with the draft and free agents and things of that nature. So I'm gonna do a push, but I'm telling you right now, they the Snyder Carroll thing is done. It's just done, and this is sports, let alone football. This is I remember Pat Riley and with the Lakers um, quitting after the 89-90 season with 4 championships, okay, and back to back in 87, 88. And he said that things had just ran that course where the players needed to hear another voice. And this is where I think, besides the talent deficit, but that's part of it too with the general manager drafting, developing. But I think it's time to move. I think this era is over from that standpoint. Now, luckily, Russell Wilson's still young enough to where they can build. That they're not. You're never that far away in the NFL if you have a franchise quarterback. We know this. But if I'm Russell Wilson, I'm putting myself in his shoes for a second. If I'm putting myself in the owner's shoes and Russell Wilson, I can't have those two coming back for 2022. Well, what are your thoughts?
Um, I don't think you're wrong in that. I don't see much change happening in Seattle, to be honest with you. I'm not getting that energy from what is coming out of Seattle.
Right. I can see that. Yeah. No, I mean, that's yeah. I've not seen that. I
I
haven't
don't
heard.
think you're wrong. I just don't get that energy. I don't get
No,
that
I
sense.
agree with that. No, I haven't either. I have not either, which should be troubling if you're a Seattle Seahawks because yeah, I because I'm watching that game right, and they lost to the Washington football team in a game that was the polar opposite of Dallas. Vegas was not a very well played game, defensive game. Both defenses played relatively well, but these offenses were nothing to write home about. From a Seattle perspective, throughout the course of the game, the thing that kept jumping out, and it was mentioned a billion times during the broadcast, and rightfully so, DK Metcalf doesn't have any targets. DK Metcalf doesn't have any targets. Now, our defense is playing. The Washington defense has played better over the last month, um, but we don't have Deion Sanders and Rod Woodson in our backfield. Okay, in our not our backfield, in our secondary, not by any stretch. Matter of fact, Landon Collins has moved to basically linebacker because he can't cover anybody as as a safety. Made a great play though to force a fumble, but he's a linebacker. He's just not you can't do coverage anymore. Well, really, that really was never really his strength to begin with. But anyway, the secondary is decent, but I like to not be able to get DK Metcalf, who is one of the best, better physical specimens as a wide receiver in the league, any targets was like, and I was like, as a fan, I was nervous the whole game. Like, yo, if we don't have anybody who can physically match up with him, there's not too many cornerbacks. I mean, outside of Jalen Ramsey, there's not a guy that constantly gives Metcalf headaches as is in terms of the individual matchup. So I'm like, yes, please, yes. I really, really want to tell the announcers to shut the fuck up because I'm like, yo, they're going to throw to him at some point. By the time they try to get him in the game, it was basically like not too late from a competitive standpoint, but he was like the rhythm and what have you that, it just wasn't going to work. It just didn't work. So I look at that as coaching. Like DK Metcalf is a beast, and you might want to get him minimum at least 10 targets a game, 8 to 10 targets a game, especially against our defense that's given up big plays throughout the course of the season. Uh, so that's when I really was like, yo, this is not supposed to be happening.
I hear you. Agree. The only thing that I would add is I think Russell Wilson came back too soon.
Yo, so yes, no, he cleared let and that I mean that's not the elephant. That is the elephant in the room. He's a shell of what we know Russell Wilson to be. Clearly, it's not. Yes, 100% agree.
He should have
He,
taken
he
all the time. He should have.
yes, he came back like what 4 weeks early, 5 weeks early. Yeah, he came back.
Yeah, because
It
what?
was
Yeah,
it was four. It was
8.
four.
It was
It
4 to
was
8
4 to
weeks,
8 weeks. Yeah, he came
and he
back
came
after
back
week
in
4,
2.
so he came back in 2.
No,
Was
he
it?
came back in 2.
that's
Yep.
yeah. You're right. So he came back what 6 weeks early. Yeah.
Yep.
No, that finger. I mean, you're talking about he broke his finger on his throwing hand. So no, he's. I mean, he's been bad. These last the two games, Green Bay and Washington, he's been just terrible. That's all there is to it. No, he's not. Yeah, came back. Yeah, no, there's no question about it that he's not. He's like I said, he's not even 70% of what he was um, before the injury. Real or not, I guess this one will be an easy one. Uh, Probably unanimous. Bill Belichick as Coach of the Year.
Yeah, real.
That's yeah. So we can move on from that. Um, Biggest disappointments, and sure, you want to say bias.
Oh
This one,
wow. Yeah,
you
you're
can hit me with the you can. I probably should have had Cam Newton first, but whatever. Dallas Cowboys are the biggest disappointments to me. If you, to me, have aspirations of being a Super Bowl team, you don't lose at home to a team that was in turmoil coming into the game. I, you can't lose that game. I don't want to hear about the receivers being injured because they scored 33 points and put up well over 400 yards of offense. It was about the defense. No, and nobody cares about your injuries anyway. This is the NFL. That was just, and again, 14 penalties for 144 yards. Lack of, we talked about it earlier, lack of discipline. We've been all over not Tomlin, excuse me, McCarthy this year about just his game management and just some of the just he's done some weird things to say at least this year. Kicking a field goal when he shouldn't have kicked the field goal, and just stuff like just quirky stuff that will lose you a game. Very disappointed from it because you're supposed to be a Super Bowl caliber team that was coming off a loss. And by the way, we weren't on last week. That was not a bad loss against Kansas City because their defense played great. And it was on the road. It was at the road. But that Kansas City game should have told you, probably told you that this team, that was a game where you had a chance to prove that you belonged at that table for Super Bowl contenders, and they came up short in that game. And this game, and they followed up by, to me, laying the egg against the Vegas Raiders. So I had them as my biggest disappointment. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not even going here with you. You hate Dallas and you need to just let it go. You need to let it go. I'm going to put a line through the Cowboys because there's a
Okay.
bigger disappointment, and your hate for the Cowboys is clouding you, and it's the Rams. The Rams are so disappointing right now. They're so
Oh, okay.
disappointing
Yes. Yeah. Go
on
ahead.
every
Go ahead.
single level.
You're absolutely
Um,
right. Go ahead.
I'm
Go
not
ahead.
going. I'm not even going to be like, oh, I thought the OBJ thing would be the thing to set the world on fire. The Von Miller one is the one that worried me, and to
Yeah.
see that the defense is worse, and then bringing in OBJ, and then the offense gets worse is there, and then Stafford being just so Stafford. I mean,
This is who
he
he
has
is. Yes.
morphed
This is who he is.
into exactly the quarterback that you can't have. Not only make the mistake, but make the crucial mistake that breaks your team's back.
Yeah.
Like that can't be what you do on a championship team. And so instead of these moves helping and covering up warts, it seems like they have revealed all of the Rams' warts at the exact same time, which is problematic and extremely disappointing because the reason you make these moves in the middle of the season is because you think it's going to elevate you. So, because of that, disappointed.
Yeah, I completely agree with you with the Rams being a big disappointment. They've been disappointed for like the last month now, so I kind of got maybe that outside of that, other than the Dallas hate, that clouded my judgment because I kind of been accustomed to the Rams being disappointed. I'm sure they've been on this list too. I'm sure once or twice before. Yeah, Stafford. This is who Stafford is. Um, He easily could have had 3 or 4 interceptions in that game as well. The Packers dropped a couple of interceptions in that game. Um, if you're going to go all in on a quarterback, which they did with Stafford, and I had no problem with them trading for Stafford for Jared Goff. Cool, that's fine. Um, but you have to know what you're getting. They made it seem like, and this might have been part delusion. They made it seem like Stafford was just levels above Jared Goff in terms of not only how they were talking, but really in terms of how they call games. And we talked about it early in the season. We like, yo, why are you going down? Why are you forcing passes down the field? Yeah, he's hitting them now, but as the season goes along, teams get a depth of him being on with this group. Injuries happen. Robert Woods is a big one. They're gonna it's gonna reveal itself, and it has in a major way, to say the least. Um, I don't even blame him. I'm like, yo, you had to just know your personnel. Stafford needs a great running game. Yeah, you can let him go out there and make some plays, but to me, as soon as I got Stafford, I would have been went out of my way to make sure that my running attack, and I know they lost Cam Akers, but let's not make Cam Akers out to be Barry Sanders here. I would have made sure my running attack could withstand, could take the pressure off Stafford to a point to where we're winning games with physicality, and that's a big word with the Rams. Physicality. That is what they don't have this year versus say last year, and definitely when in the year where they went to the Super Bowl. Teams are doing whatever they want on both sides of the ball to them physically at the point of attack. Period. Period. Green Bay Green Bay didn't even really even play well in that game. To be honest with you, and that game was not as close. And that game was not as close as the score what indicated. You never got a sense that the Rams were going to win that game. Never, never. Even after the long touchdown pass to Jefferson in the first half. So yeah, they've been a major disappointment. Considering, and again, we talked about this earlier. Those dream teams don't work out. They just don't. They
Not
don't.
in the NFL. It just
Not in the
doesn't.
NFL. No.
Doesn't work that way.
Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Cam had a rough day. Cam
Yeah.
had a rough day. 5 for 21, like 92 yards, couple of picks. Got benched in the fourth quarter. Um, yeah, I'm starting
Yeah.
to think that this might be the last year we see Cam play
Yeah.
football.
Yeah. Yeah. This is absolutely the end of Cam as a starter, and
I don't think he can handle being a
hopefully
backup.
his pride. Yeah, I'm about to say, and hopefully his pride won't let him be a backup.
Right. Yeah.
But
Um,
yeah, yeah, that was it. That was it.
I can
That was
only
his
imagine.
last. That was his last chance, and um, that was his last go around. In Yeah, that was his last go around. You can't get benched after coming back home and doing all the things that you do as you always do them. So,
No,
um, yeah,
I can only imagine what it was like in that Miami during the week leading up to this game in those meeting rooms when you have completely basically shut down Lamar Jackson and you see Cam and you like, yo, he's not Lamar Jackson. So they probably were licking their chops. Like they like I thought the game would be more competitive, but I probably and Miami is playing better, of course. They won 3 straight. Tua Tagovailoa is definitely has stepped up and playing much better over the last couple of games. Um, but I know those defensive coordinators, that those defensive coaches were just salivating over facing Cam Newton. Like that offense is their offense is tailor made for Miami's defense in terms of the matchup. They just like I couldn't imagine what it was like in those meeting rooms. He had no chance in that game. None. Yeah, you can try to run him. Yeah, we just faced one of the best pure athlete in the NFL. Want to try to run? Good. Go ahead. Go ahead. So, yeah, the Cam era is over. Listen, look, he got to a Super Bowl, won an MVP, Heisman Trophy. Had a great career. Had a great career. But yeah, it's a wrap on that one. The Colts. I had the Colts here because the Colts lose to the Buccaneers, which is not a surprise, but it's just how they lost. We've seen this movie a few times this season. As a matter of fact, this is the third double-digit lead the Colts have lost this year. Baltimore, and of course they lost to Tennessee. They lost a double-digit lead to Tennessee on the road. Lost a double-digit lead to Baltimore on the road. This one was, to me, the Baltimore one was the worst one because that they had zero business losing that game. You're talking about 25-9, 22-3. There's no, and Baltimore wasn't even playing well then. So that was the worst of the three. But this one, yeah, you're up 24-14. You have all the momentum and you're driving. They had the ball inside the Tampa Bay 30-yard line. And to me, I like even a field goal, I feel like field goal, let alone touchdown. I just felt like the game was on the was on the fringes of being just a complete blowout. And Tampa Bay's defense makes a play, and it went all downhill from there. Um, what were your thoughts on that game? The Colts overall, because I really thought after what transpired against your team
Yep.
last week that they were ready to somewhat semi turn the corner.
Yeah.
But this is who they are. That's the bottom line. This is absolutely who they are.
I mean, like my brother asked me last week how I felt about the game or before the game. I was like, Carson Wentz is uh a average quarterback, and I'm just worried about their running game. And
Right.
so the running game is the heartbeat of that team. The offensive line is the heartbeat of that team.
Yeah.
If you manage to start to match their physicality there, then the rest of the domino folds because you don't have a passing attack that can pick up any of the slack. You don't have a quarterback that can handle that type of pressure on a consistent basis. And so when you stack things up and you just say, uh, we're going to force Carson Wentz to beat us and bet that Brady can beat that defense enough times to get us to win, that's exactly what happened. And so yeah, I mean, like I don't know. The Colts are a borderline playoff team. So I didn't have like super high expectations for them anyway. And um, the way that I've seen Carson Wentz played has even actually dipped my expectations lower. Um, you know, I there's not a lot I can say because they stomped us into the ground, but I can say I was so disgusted at my team because we shouldn't got stomped into the ground by them. So like Tampa Bay, because they have Brady, is a team you have to kill dead to win, and they didn't do that.
No.
Brady will kill you every single time.
Yeah.
He'll get you every single time you let up.
And by the way, give Tampa Bay's defense a lot of credit. They made some plays. They made some
Yep.
great plays. Especially the interception was one of the best interceptions I've seen this year. I mean, he just made that was just I didn't even see that coming. I thought at worst that would be a pass interference, and he just made a great play on the ball. So their defense forced 5 turnovers. Two of them were just ridiculous turnovers. Like two of them, like the punt, That's the type of shit I'm talking about, like the muff punt
Yeah.
type stuff. That's stuff you just absolutely can't have if you're trying to win that type of game against Tom Brady. So Colts on their best day can beat anybody, but they also can lose to anybody. So that's about where they're at. And the AFC's wild, so they're still
I'm
in the
gonna
mix.
say that's where a lot of us at.
Yeah, yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's the majority of the league right now. Uh, no question about it. The standings. So we are 12 weeks into the season, still with 5 weeks left. Um, as we again got this extra week with the extra game, of course, 17 games. So you're gonna have, I think, you look at the standings. Green Bay has a bye, probably at the perfect time. Um, of course, we'll talk more about your game, but you look at these standings. You have a bunch of teams. Look at the AFC. Um, I think I I think New England basically to me controls his own destiny from a standpoint of I think the way as tough as the
We're
AFC.
we're not we're not at that point yet, real. Just because, yeah, if every team wins out, you could
Oh,
literally
Baltimore.
say that
Yeah,
about pretty much most
that's
of them.
true. That's true.
But
That's true.
there's just no way any of this winning out is even
No,
remotely
no. You know what?
predictable.
Yeah, no,
Even
it's not.
remotely
No, it's
predictable.
not. No, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
I
Um,
say, like, when it comes down to three or two games, then you can use that line for a couple of teams. But like the AFC East is gonna come out. No, see, like the AFC East would be a great thing, right? So like two or three of these games, Buffalo plays New England, two of the
twice.
next three, right?
Yep.
And then after that, both of our schedules are very winnable, right? And so like let's say either of us, either teams, Buffalo or New England's up half a game with two to go or three to go, whatever it is. It'll be three to go. Then it's like, all right, whoever wins out on this one can can win. What I will say is at this point in time, um, a two-game losing streak is death.
Yes.
That can't happen. That can't happen. So the teams, the next team, here's how the next teams that drop two are the ones that are gonna fall or gone. You just scratch them off.
Yeah. So especially in particular the AFC, these games, the seedings and all this is going to be decided in the division.
It,
By the division. So that one you
it's so insane.
you can guarantee that because to your point, New England and Buffalo meet 2 of the next 3 weeks. You have Cleveland will have a bye, a well time needed bye for them. They follow that up with another by hosting Baltimore,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll talk about that game as well. Kansas City will play Denver twice. They play Sunday night this week, and they'll play again later on. So these games, and they also have the Chargers again as well. So these games, Indianapolis has Tennessee again. Denver, of course, we talked about Denver and Vegas. The division play will decide everything, point blank.
Well, I was thinking about it too as I was thinking about our schedule, looking around, and I was thinking about the rest of the league. I can't confirm this 100%, but it looks like this is going to turn out genius this year. That the league backlogged the division games. Now
Yes,
we know a few years back they've been doing this for years, where the final game of the season is
all
divisional game.
division. Yes,
Um, and that was cool, but it wasn't really playing out because it wasn't tight in a lot of divisions
right.
like that every year. It was basically the NFC East every year, first to 8-8, wins
Yeah,
the division. And it was like that's what we were stuck with every Sunday night football game at the end. It was like, oh God, Dallas Eagles, Dallas, Washington football team, Dallas Giant, whoever, just the worst. And so But this year, it seems like they really backlogged like the last 5 games. 4 to 5 are going to be division games. 3 to 5 are going to be like division games and against like your rival. And it's just like it's crazy. It's crazy, and it's crazy that it's worked out this year because so much is so. The reason why I say like everything is in front of everybody because so much has still yet to happen.
Yeah,
Right? Like
yeah,
it's bananas that two division rivals in my head right now, the Bills and the Patriots have yet to play each other.
right.
And it was like 2 of their 3. And they did it to Cleveland and Baltimore. That's how I know it's not a mistake. Because we had the conversation, me and you, I think offline, maybe even on the show, had the conversation about Cleveland's schedule and them having Baltimore back to back. Just Baltimore has a bye in between.
Right.
I was like, have you ever seen that? That's crazy. Then I looked at, then as it's gotten closer looking at the schedule, I was like, this is wild too. The Patriots have us back to back, and they have essentially, they'll have like a longer, but anyways, so my point being, this is intentional and it's turning out gangbusters, but that is why this is just it. I look at the standings. I'm just like, I have no clue what's going to happen. I really, really don't. My gut instinct says the expected cream will rise to the top. So like Baltimore, New England,
Well,
Tennessee, Kansas City, Cincinnati,
we can do
Buffalo's in.
we could do stock
And
in, stock down as far
yeah,
as
that's
so.
my but my point being is I honestly have no clue. Like if I'm being honest with myself, I have no clue. I
We
have
know
zero.
it. We know it. Yeah, no, I'm not
There's
trying to.
nothing that I know in
No,
the AFC.
no,
There
there's not.
honestly isn't. There's nothing I know. There's
We
nothing I
know
know.
that.
Everything
We
I
know.
can say has been disproven. In a game, at least 2 or 3 games.
A couple of times, yes. A couple of
Um, like who can figure Cincinnati out? Who the hell can figure who can figure Kansas City out? Who can figure Tennessee out? Baltimore, who knows what
yeah.
you're gonna get? Buffalo, I don't know. I'm a fan. I have no clue.
Teams that
Vegas,
are teams
who,
that
what, and where is that where did Indy come from? Like it just
but we can say that
nothing.
I'm confident in saying this in terms of teams that trending up, trending down, teams in terms of how, in terms of
Sure.
how I don't like obviously Tennessee, the injuries and the injuries are piling up. Again, I think Tennessee will find their way in the playoffs though, but I don't not so I'm not dismissing them. I don't like how the Chargers are playing right now. I don't like how the Chargers are playing right now. They're to me they are headed in the wrong direction. Um, Kansas City is off the respirator. So they were on life support, but that Dallas game, to me, the way they won that game, that especially defensively, um, and I know they played some bad offensive opponents before Dallas, but that Dallas, I mean, they were in Dallas's ass in that game. You know, Chris Jones was a man child in that game. I know we didn't get a chance to talk about that game, but they're here. Like Kansas City's here. They're gonna be a problem to like no one wants to see Kansas City in the playoffs. No one. No one. So they so those two teams, New England is New England. We know where they're headed. We know that they're going to, where they're headed as far as trending. We'll talk about more about Baltimore later on. But Baltimore's going to make the playoffs. But I don't like Kansas City. I don't like not Kansas City. I don't like the Chargers right now, and I don't think Indianapolis is not going to make the playoffs. I don't. Denver, I just don't know. I count because I count Denver out, but Denver just keeps hanging around. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't think Denver's very good, but they just keep hanging. They just hanging in there. We'll learn.
My head hurt.
Yeah,
I
the
had to
AFC it
turn
does. It
around.
will give you a
Oh,
headache. I
it
thought
literally
Vegas was
made my
done.
head
I
hurt.
thought Vegas was done. I thought LA. So I mean, they're still in the mix. I mean, a lot of teams are still in the mix. Pittsburgh is done. Pittsburgh is finished. I can say that they're not on the screen for a reason. But I have zero faith in Pittsburgh at what Cincinnati did to them. They just toyed with them. Nice bounce back for Cincinnati. Um, they're still a young team and what have you. I mean, of course we don't know, but Pittsburgh's done. Pittsburgh's done. And I'm not gonna say the Chargers are done, but I'm almost close. I'm almost close to saying that I don't that the Chargers are just they're not. I can't say they're finished, but I don't like the way the Chargers have played the last month. I really don't. Um, they just we talk about culture. They just look like even we love Herbert, of course, but they just look like the same old Chargers from a culture standpoint. But no, you don't. Yeah, you don't. You say you don't know about your team. I don't know about your team because I can't explain. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you don't know about your team. I damn sure don't know about your team. Um, Looking at the NFC, uh, very top heavy, of course. A couple of teams are dealing with some injuries, key injuries. We know Arizona, will eventually get their peoples back. Um, they each have Green Bay is going to get some defensive people back. They have a bye this week, and but those last what 4 playoff spots could be you know the way we're talking about trending up and down. Dallas and the Rams are trending down. You have Washington and San Francisco trending up. Of course, Minnesota's still in the mix. Philadelphia is finished. I don't have zero faith in them, and that's basically it as far as the NFC. What are your thoughts on the NFC as you look at these
Yeah, the
standings?
NFC is much clearer to me. I think we are inevitably headed for a Green Bay Tampa Bay rematch. Um, and I think the with the Rams, with me being so down on the Rams right now, I think the only one who could throw a monkey wrench into that scenario is Arizona, if healthy, fully healthy,
Right.
everybody
Yes, they
playing
gotta get their people back. Right. They gotta
at a
get their people back.
reasonable rate.
Yes.
Um, San Francisco sneaky dangerous. They're sneaky dangerous.
Yeah. Gotten back to being
It's
the
always about
yeah.
health with that team. To be honest
Yep.
with you,
Yep.
it's always about health.
The physical. They've gotten back to being
Way
the physical.
more than even what you call this play, Garoppolo's play. It's about health. Can they have their impact players on the field at the same time in a meaningful game?
Right.
Um, that San Francisco team is not 6-5. That San Francisco team is probably is closer to Tampa Bay. It's
Yep.
close to that record, 8-3. That's what
Yes.
I mean. That
Yep.
8-3 record. Um, and I think if they're 8-3, we're viewing them completely differently than we are at 6-5. So San Francisco is the dangerous team on there. I like what the Washington football team is doing. I think this is the year where um the counter style is going to sneak some teams in. That's why I still think Indy's dangerous, and that's why I like the football team. I like what the Eagles are doing as well. Um, and that is and San Francisco is so sneaky dangerous on this because those are the teams willing to get physical and run the ball and grind the game down to a slow halt,
Right.
which is the exact even though like the Rams are infinitely more talented than the Washington football team, I think the Washington football team style of play will elevate them, whereas how the Rams are playing is trending them down. Um, so that's why I like your teams being a sneaky team in there. I really do.
Yeah. No, the AFC is going. It'll come down to the last week, of course. Again, that home field is vital again to Arizona and Green Bay. Not so much with Tampa Bay. They just want to be healthy. We know they're playing a long game, um, and they starting to get some people healthy back on offense. They eventually will get Antonio Brown back, um, and a team knows how to win. So they'll Tampa Bay is fine. They'll be fine without home field advantage. Obviously much bigger for Arizona and Green Bay. I don't want to hear about Aaron Rodgers' toe. Um, Aaron Rodgers comes out, sticks his foot during a press conference, and then you hear today that he's knocking coaches for allegedly talking about his injury that he brought up to the media and took his shoe off and showed the world and basically made it seem like this was the worst toe injury in the history of mankind. Um, it we did a number of podcasts during the pandemic on a narcissistic athlete who considered maybe the greatest basketball player, one of the greatest athletes of all time, in
Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is not that far behind as far as narcissism.
No. It's not even not that far behind. We don't even have to mince words on this one. This is where you have to completely compartmentalize it too. At least I do. Compartmentalize Aaron Rodgers, the football player,
Right.
versus Aaron Rodgers, the person. Aaron
Yes.
Rodgers, the person, seems to be a horrible human being.
Yes.
That is what it
Yes. Yes.
that is what the evidence is building towards. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I
Yeah.
just have to take what is presented in front of me. I do
It
not
is
know the
what it
man
is.
personally. Just everything that has been put out there seems to be a horrible human being. So that's that, or at least somebody that I would never ever want to root for, think about, engage with in any type of way. But the football player Aaron Rodgers is fucking amazing to watch.
Yes.
It's amazing to watch. Orchestrated games, amazing to watch. Played through a game, how he does, like how he moves and maneuvers, and how that attitude off the field is the worst, but on the field it actually translates really well to like not the ups and the downs of it. Here's my ultimate solace. My ultimate solace is I still land exactly where I do with Green Bay, where I did at the beginning of the season, in the preseason, where I am at right now. None of this matters. It only matters if he advances to the Super Bowl. And this version of Aaron Rodgers does not look better than the MVP version last year, which was off the charts good.
Right.
Like he was playing
Right.
out of his mind last year. And that one got crushed Dreams got crushed by Tampa Bay. So if I
Right.
do see this as an inevitable rematch, I do not see a different outcome. And so I think that check in with me when we're having the Super Bowl show and Green Bay's in the Super Bowl. Then
Yeah.
I think
No.
it'll be much harder for me to separate the person from the player. But right now, because I anticipate the failure that is coming, I'm not as stressed about the platitude he gets for the play versus how horrible a person that he is. Because I think that flaw ultimately shows up in the big games for
Yeah.
him
I completely
against the
agree.
other big time competitors that just care about winning
Right. I completely agree with
and
you.
not how they look winning or
Right.
sound winning.
Yeah. I mean, Brady had an injury to his knee last year. It was that didn't get mentioned until after the season.
Now, those two, I will agree with a lot of Patriots fans on this. They should never ever don't put those two in the same sentence.
No, I'm
Just,
not putting him. No,
I
I'm
know
not putting
you're
him.
not. I
No,
know
I'm
you're
not.
not. It's just like, yeah, Tom Brady does everything differently than Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is a bitch when it comes to everything else.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, it's just we're seeing it in the NBA. Like character matters. Like the character still matters. I mean, you saw seeing it with in the NBA in regards to Phoenix running off 17 straight versus with Brooklyn. I know their record is decent, but versus what they're dealing with Kyrie and all that and that whole even James Harden not getting foul calls, stuff like that. The character still matters. It still does. It really does. From that standpoint. But yeah, I don't want to hear about your toe, man. I'm just sorry. I know no one cares. That's the thing about it. No one cares about injuries when you are on the field. And even if you were hurt, it'd be like, oh, this is that. Football players get hurt every day. So it's like no, I don't even know. Again, I don't even know why he even brought it. Well, I do know why. This is what a narcissist does. He wants to uplift him, makes it seem like he's playing through this severe injury, and I'm leading this team, and we still have one of the best records in the league. So that it does from that standpoint, it makes perfect.
And he's also setting up the next beef with management.
Yes, Yeah, yeah, yeah. No question, no question about it. No question about it. Yeah, the AFC is pretty much clear cut, not clear cut, but well,
Way clearer than the
it's way
AFC.
yes,
Way,
it makes a lot more sense
yes, yes.
in the AFC. Um, Again, we know which teams are playing the best in the AFC. We know New England's playing the best, but we don't. I can say I mean, we don't know. We have no idea who's going to be in the AFC Championship. I have none, none. I'm
If this
confident
is New
saying
England playing this way with Tom Brady, it'd be a different story. That conversation that we're having,
right.
but the reason why even the teams that are excelling, in the AFC, we've just seen such recent evidence of them not excelling as well, and so it is the most cliche, but it's so true this year. It's a week to week league. It's
Yeah.
so true. It's so true this year.
Well, I mean, it's a week to week lead, and like what we've been mentioning also all throughout the course of the season is going to depend on. It's really going to depend on the matchups.
And that's why it's a week to week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever you're getting.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No. Yes. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
honestly throw records out the window in some cases.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. Home field. Listen, you want home field from a standpoint. You take the week off, but other than that, I had the road versus home. It doesn't.
Well,
I
if you when you go into the standings, real look at a lot of people's conference records and look at a lot of people's home and away records. This is a wild season. This one's wild. This one's like different wild. I've been listening to a lot of people and a lot of professionals be like, "Am I crazy on this? Is this season just way harder to call than it's ever been?" And yeah, it's a wild season.
I'm looking at the standings right now for all everything. Yeah, the
So
home
for
record.
example,
I mean, a couple teams.
Look at New England's home and away record.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
It
Five
makes
and
no sense.
0. Yeah, 3 and 4. No,
Makes no sense.
yeah, there are a bunch of teams who are just 500 home
Yeah,
wise. Especially the AFC. Yes, the AFC is
yeah.
just
I mean, New England has the best conference record, but then look at everybody else's conference record. We're all bunched together. Everybody's bunched together everywhere.
yeah, yep, yeah,
And then
yeah.
you look at the home and away. I mean, it just isn't.
I mean,
Of
even
course,
with
you would expect dominance at home, and that's usually what flips this in a lot of cases, like the Kansas City, the Buffaloes, Tennessee, even, but particularly like Kansas City and Buffalo, their home field advantage becomes overwhelming. And so you see a big digression in 2 or 3 losses on the road. Not this year, not at all.
I mean, even with Arizona, Arizona is 6-0 at away. They're three and
Yeah,
two at home.
Arizona is crazy. Yep,
Yeah,
that was the other one. That's just like, what is even happening here?
yeah. No, it's no, it's yeah.
This is a wild one. I have here's what I have absolute confidence in. Um I have absolute confidence that the AFC's going down to the last game of the season. We
Yep,
will not have a handle on that full playoff picture until that final week.
yep.
We will not have a handle at all on it. That is what I feel. That's what I feel the most confident in is that it's going to be crazy town all the way down to the wire. This one's going down to the wire. And I can't remember the last time that was the case. I really can't, honestly.
Questions for Sap. Um,
Yes.
kind of
To the first
answered.
one.
Yeah. So number one, can New England win a Super Bowl? You emphatically say yes.
Yes.
I agree, and especially not only because of the way they're playing, but because it seems like this could be. Well, it not seems like it is just going to be just one of these years. No
Yep.
dominant team. All it has all the makings for something like New England to win a
It
Super Bowl.
really, really, really does.
So yeah, I 100% agree that they can win a Super Bowl. Thoughts on Browns Ravens? This was a Sunday night game. That was a defensive battle.
It was
Um,
a mess. It was
it
a
was
mess.
the defensive
That's
battle
what
and some ugly quarterback
mess.
play. especially from
Horrible
especially
quarterback.
from Baltimore. Especially from Baltimore.
It's hard.
I don't think Mayfield was as bad as everybody's making it out to be.
No, he wasn't. They just lost the game.
They just
So
lost the game.
you got to kill him for that. But
Yeah, but no.
Lamar Jackson was god awful.
Let's get to Lamar Jackson.
He was god awful. You just got to call it when it's true. He was god awful. Let's not do this. That's what makes other, like, like, I can appreciate Patrick Mahomes. I can appreciate Lamar Jackson. But when national announcers and, of course, hometown fans make their horrible be great, that's when I'm like, nope, I'm out. I'm out on this. I'm not doing this with y'all. He was horrible. And we just got to cut. Like, oftentimes he's amazing. And when he's amazing, we all stand up and cheer and go, wow, Lamar's amazing. But when certain quarterbacks have a really off game, it feels like half of fandom, half of media, half of talking head, however you want to describe it, go, well, the reason why was because the receiver, no, it was not. No, it was not. That was a horrible throw, a horrible read. Never should have happened. It was god awful.
Yeah, and he threw 4 interceptions. It easily could have been 6 or 7 because there was some passes that he was throwing up for grabs. Like, yo, and to his credit, he was like, "Look, I played like a rookie." He basically he took it, and I mean,
you can't do anything but take that.
Yeah, no, he took it in stride, didn't make any excuses. I get, he's one of these guys where, again, he's still developing from the pocket. Of course, we know that that's still a work in progress, but when he's bad from the pocket, like when it's like, it's kind of like a street 3-point shooter, like a guy that can just, when that street goes the wrong direction, it could be like 1 for 20 from 3-point range, or 1 for 10 from 3-point range. There's really no in between with his pocket game. Like, it's either like, all right, he's either making some good throws, making some solid reads, or he's horrible in terms of that. Like,
here's exactly what it is, and nobody will really understand this comparison, but it's absolutely accurate. He's Brett Favre. He's absolutely Brett Favre. The Brett Favre's unshakable confidence was in his arm.
Right.
It's unshakable confidence. Lamar's unshakable confidence comes in his athleticism, but it's still unshakable confidence. And that's why when it goes south, he can't turn it off. And that was the exact same thing for Favre.
Yeah.
Favre is sad. And I'm sure Lamar Jackson feels the same way. He's just not done with his playing career. But Favre is sad. He's fine with those 5 interception games because he was not going to stop throwing. He just wasn't. It just wasn't going to happen. And I think that is absolutely to your point. But as a football team, I mean, your point about Lamar, when it goes down south, it's just going all the way. It's going all the way. There's no turning that thing around.
Kind of Russell Westbrook like.
If you want to go out of sport comparison, that's fine because you just want to talk down Russell Westbrook. But that's fine. The thing with players like that, you can throw Westbrook in there, is that's also their superpower.
Yes, so that's what makes them great. Yes, that's what makes them right. You can't,
as teammates and as coach, you can't tamp it down.
Right.
So you just gotta live with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was god awful, and yet they still won the game. So you just gotta live with it.
Yeah.
They pointed out there were a couple of the national, and I appreciate that, but they pointed out, and he's just like, that's just a bad read by Lamar. Let me show you why it's a bad read. He just didn't see the defender. That's not that is rookie level. That's honestly first day install level, right? Like, you got to be able to read where what they call the lurker or the blitz or whatever, however you want to describe. You got to be able to read where that person's coming from at a professional level. You got to, and especially on the Super Bowl caliber team, and you're better. You got to. So it's just horrible game. It's a horrible game by him. No excuses should be made, and no excuses were made.
No. I mean, yeah.
But then on the other side of the ball, the inability to do anything with that and the inability to turn any of that into any meaningful points. And
I
then
think,
at a
yeah,
certain point in time, as you know, in that game where it was just like, let's just play give the ball back to each other. Um, that's where all the blame has to fall on Cleveland. And when you're the quarterback,
Stefanski, no, I mean, listen, the
you gotta
quarterback
take
and
that
coaching,
punishment. Yeah,
yeah, the quarterback coaching go hand in hand. Okay,
yeah, yeah,
here's what I was saying. And keep in mind, you're not talking to a guy. I was not high on Baker Mayfield coming out of college per
no,
se. I just wasn't. Um, but I can't sit up here. I watched Baker Mayfield. I watched a lot of Cleveland this year. I cannot sit up here and pile on, and I will not pile on Baker Mayfield. That could the coaching, the culture, the just like there's something missing there. Baker Mayfield is who he is. Okay, I think Baker Mayfield is a very good quarterback. I think you can win with Baker Mayfield, but you gotta put him. He's got to be put in certain in specific positions to succeed. Um, and there's something amiss there. With there's just something there just is. There's no way to it. There's all there is to it. Now, listen, if you get, of course, if I'd rather have certainly you rather have Aaron Rodgers, you rather have Patrick Mahomes. Cool. Those quarterbacks don't fall. Good luck trying to get one of those guys. Um, Again, I mean, Rodgers could be a possibility, but that's another story. But those those guys are few and far between. Okay, you should be able to win with Baker Mayfield, um, especially with that roster constructed the way it is. Now they've had some injuries, everybody does, but there's just something missing with that team. And again, we can point to what it is. Similar with Dallas, the Chargers, just prone to mistakes, lack of discipline, lack of consistency, and that's coaching. That's coaching and culture. So again, the easy argument is a late again. I get it. 24-hour media, talking heads, so on and so on. The easy, lazy argument is to say Baker's not this, Baker's not that. Baker, whatever. And again, his contract will be up, and they'll decide to do what they want to do. But I cannot. I've watched a lot of Cleveland. Cleveland. I know if you watch a lot of Cleveland. I just can't. Like, I've not walked away from these games saying, "Damn, man, Baker's really sticking it up at a high level, and they need a new quarterback." I have not walked away with that feeling with that in watching Cleveland play this year. What are your thoughts?
it's hard to turn a losing culture around. And what a lot of teams want to do is they want to mask it with talent. So they want to bring in more talent, which is fine, of course. But there's also another part of that is then bringing in the right talent, the right mix of talent, putting it together, letting it marinate for a little while, letting it grow, letting the culture build upon itself. And Cleveland as an organization has failed at that for a very, very long time. They tried to mask it with talent and it's not working out because they still don't have those foundational pieces um, of culture building, which is stability. And um, and all of them are just the latest victims of a just a morbid franchise. And so until there is stability in the thought process of how we go about doing our business year to year, down year, off year, not that type of year, whatever it is, then we'll start to see a change. But Cleveland's never been able to evaluate quarterback talent appropriately. They never have been. They're so lost in the weeds of just their desolation in that aspect that they can't see the forest for the trees with quarterback play. And so, like you said, they'll make their move on Mayfield, but Cleveland has lots and lots of problems.
Yeah. Yep. We look ahead to week 13, of course.
I would kill for that running game in that
Oh my goodness. And defensive line too. I mean, to me, and by the way, I think Myles Garrett. I think he's defensive player of the year. If I had a vote, I don't, of course, but I think that he is like, and it's still a long way to go, of course, but that dude is just unblockable. He's
That's
that
so
dude
good. He is good.
unblockable,
Woo, he good.
unblockable. Um, Looking ahead to week 13, a couple of good matchups, of course. We definitely like Denver, Kansas City on Sunday night. But the matchup that everybody will be talking about, and as well as they should, will be a divisional battle. Buffalo, New England. From a tactical standpoint, we know the emotional standpoint that your emotional standpoint in this game.
There's not even that big emotions right now, to be honest with you.
From a
There
from a
really,
from a tactical standpoint, what are your thoughts on this
yeah,
game in regards to how you match up, how your team
yeah,
matches up with New England?
yep. I can get into that. I'm gonna cede a little bit of my time to another topic really quickly. Um, I'm gonna combine the little bit what we talking about with Cleveland in the last segment, and then the who lost the week. Jadeveon Clowney. The amount of times they showed him on camera flailing after Lamar um was crazy. Anyway, sorry. I digress.
This is true. Yeah,
So
you're right. Yeah.
anyways, in this game, um tactically, I mean, like here's what it's ultimately gonna come down to. It's gonna come down to mistake-free football and physical football. Um, the Bills have put their weaknesses on tape very, very clearly. And the weaknesses are when punched in the mouth, we have shown a lack of ability to punch back. And so, in order to make the game into an actual game, the Bills have to stop the running game. They have to. They have to. It is not a matter of if, it is a must. If they do not stop the running game, it will look exactly, if not worse, than the Indianapolis game. The reason why I don't have a ton of emotion into this is because I'm thinking completely tactically, because this is a prove it game. This is a show game. We're here. You've gotten to a certain point. The Patriots are right there. They're a half game up in the division. What are you going to do at home? This is one of those games where I can speak tactically, like I said, physically, stopping the run, getting pressure with 4 on Mac Jones. All those things have to happen, particularly with the Tre'Davious White injury. That pressure has to happen, forcing the Patriots into mistakes, particularly turnovers, and absolutely not turning the ball over ever at all, ever at all, to them, um, has to be the key. But the biggest thing is about the mental aspect of this game, and about the mental aspect of, all right, we created a team to knock off who we thought was the big bully on the block, which is Kansas City. We got there. We got there. We got to a point where we could feel comfortable going up to them. Now the goal, we shaky in the middle. Now the goal is the Patriots. We haven't won our division. I can't hear anything about number 1 seeds and Super Bowl contenders and yada, yada, yada. We haven't won our division. That's the only goal. Then once that's accomplished, then you think about the other things. But the first goal on that board has to be the Patriots. And this is one of those games where it's just like you have to show that you can do it in this position, or you're not who we thought you were. It's just that simple.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo those. I'll
Buffalo
echo.
should win this game. They have to win this game. This is a massive, massive game. This is a
Yeah, at
massive
home.
game.
Yeah, you have to win this game at home.
Have
You
to,
have to
have
win
to,
this game at home. Yeah, you have to win this game at home.
absolutely have to.
Monday night, you get the extra day as far as from Thanksgiving. You get which is basically a semi bye week, so you have plenty of prep time. Um,
And this is one of those games. Stats don't matter. Pretty doesn't matter.
no,
Win the
no,
effing game.
no. Brian, if it,
3-2,
yeah, no,
eight,
no, no,
6.
no.
What? I don't care.
Not
This
athletic.
is not. This no. I don't care.
Not about aesthetics. No,
Nope.
no,
And not at all. This is
no.
not at all. This is
Yeah,
division, December,
bring your chin strap.
playoff,
Bring your chin
everything
strap.
on the line. This should be a fight. This should be
Yeah,
a fight.
no, it absolutely should be. No, without question. Um, what do you think the approach from a strategic standpoint, if you're Buffalo, in terms of what you want to do offensively? Um,
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say defensively because I
Offensively,
know
yeah,
our
no,
coach, the
offensively. Yeah, I
defensive
know what you want to do.
coordinator and the head coach have already said they're not going to move off of the 5-2. So offensively, I know what their approach is going to be. They're not going to really change anything offensively either. They might try to stick with the run a little bit longer, but they are going to go with the 3 and 4 wide receivers against the Patriots and really test that secondary. Um, the key on that will be does Josh Allen hold the ball, or does he go for the check down or the easier play? That'll be the heart of that strategy, because what the Patriots will absolutely do to the Bills offensively is force Allen to check down.
Right.
There will be no semblance of a running game, even when we attempt. There'll be no semblance of a running game, and they will beat up on the receivers all throughout the game, and then they will make sure nothing goes over the top of them. And so, as we know, Judon is playing lights out on the Patriots defensive line. The Patriots have their team back, and so they can absolutely put pressure on the quarterback, and they want to force the quarterback to hold the ball. And so offensively, I would love to be like, we need to get nitty gritty and run the ball 40-45 times. But that's just not the reality of how the team is built. It just isn't the reality of it. And it would be asinine to want that to happen. When the team's just not built that way. We're built in a 3-4 wide receiver format with Dawson Knox being the X factor in that scene. That's where their defense can be had more often than not. But all that is predicated on Josh Allen loosening up the defense by taking the easy check down throw when it is there and available for him.
Yeah, I agree with you about they Josh Allen has to be patient. He has to be patient, and we know that's what Belichick defenses do quarterbacks, and we've seen them destroy quarterbacks, even some of the
I
goats,
was gonna say, I mean that he
like
ate
Peyton
man
Manning.
alive with that.
Yeah, yeah,
He ate him
yeah, like
alive with that, and
yeah.
that is the greatest. Like, forget what you want to say about him as greatest of all time, yada
No,
yada
Peyton
yada.
Manning is the
Whatever you
greatest
like,
football mind
great,
as a
greatest
quarterback
of all mind.
mind. Yes, without
Just
question.
flat
Yes,
out, and that isn't up for debate. It
no,
isn't.
that's not. No, he was an offensive. He was a offense among himself. He was a coordinator and a quarterback in essence. Like yeah, no, Peyton Manning.
So, but and the point being, Belichick ate Peyton Manning alive for years
Yes,
with that exact strategy, force him to be uh,
yeah,
patient because, of course, Belichick, being the genius defensive coordinator and head coach with defensive mind, knows great quarterbacks don't like to be patient. They don't.
no.
They don't. They don't.
Um,
They really, really like the 70 play yard bomb. They really love it. They love it.
yes, I'm thinking at least. I have a number as far as rushes. I say at least has to be in that 30 to 35 range.
We want you what we want
I don't care about the
is
yards. It's about the
an
attempts for me.
even split. That's what we want. That's what we want as a Buffalo fan base.
Right.
So
Yes.
it's 34 runs, 34, if it's
Yeah,
34,
yeah, that's
if
fine.
it's
Yeah, no,
34
that's fine.
passes, it's
That's fine.
34
Yeah.
runs as well, or it's 30 runs. Somewhere the defense. Here's what can't happen. Even though the Patriots will stop the run, I'm telling you that they will
Oh
stop
yeah,
the
no, we know
run.
that.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah. I
Even
was
though
just saying,
that
it's
will
not about the
happen,
yards; it's about the
you
attempts. It's not about the
cannot
yards.
let them not respect the run. That's the
Right.
difference
That's
that
the
teams
no.
don't get.
Yes, that's the difference.
Is that they have to respect. They have to respect your ability to be able to run the ball. If they are constantly backing off, even when it's 3rd and 2, oh, we're in trouble. We're in trouble.
Here's my point: you cannot have them gear, and you made the point as well. You cannot have them lock in on your passing game. It just can't. I've watched them lock in on passing games. It just no, you just can't. You like you said, you have to. They have to honor your run. They have to because we talk about defensive players of the year. J.C. Jackson is right there, cornerback. He's a beast. He's a beast. Like throwing to him, like I'm not even throwing to his side. I'm not if I can avoid it. He's been that dominant this year. He's been the best cornerback in football, and it's not even close this year. Really, it's not. Like it's not that I watched from like play in and play out, week in and week out. And I'm not even just going by the gaudy interception numbers. I'm just going by just making plays. So yeah, even split 51, even if it's like 51, 49%, 52, 48%, it has as close to even as possible with that running game. Their running game has to be a factor in this game. And of course, I mean, it goes without saying with the turnovers. We know that you cannot. That's death playing the Patriots if you turn
Never
over the
ever,
ball.
never ever.
But
Can't happen.
that goes without saying. But that play calling, let's say you don't turn over the ball and you're disciplined from that standpoint. The offensive play calling is going to be just like that. I'm going to definitely keep my close eye on how the rhythm and the flow of what they're calling, and just patience, patience with the run, patience with Josh Allen being patient. That's basically may probably be the key to the game. It's just patience all around from the Buffalo Bills from that standpoint. And again, the Patriots like they just
And I was going to say, even with all that said,
you can still
that
lose.
still
Yeah.
doesn't guarantee victory.
No,
You do all
absolutely
that
no,
said, you do all
no,
that, it still doesn't guarantee victory.
no, it doesn't. It does not. No, I expect a very
But they
close game.
always got some little trick, some little
Yes, yep,
nugget
something that
that
you
no
haven't
one
seen.
has
Yep,
ever seen before
yep,
that's going to happen. They'll
yeah,
pull out, or something weird, you know, will happen. Referees in the game, who knows? What? That's where I start to get emotional when I start thinking about how the ball always bounces their way.
yep, yep.
So something weird, those things are just going to happen. A little bit less at Buffalo than if it's at Foxborough. It will definitely happen. It will definitely happen. Probably a little bit less Buffalo, but just playing the Patriots. Something weird is going to happen. Just plan on it. And
Yeah,
so it's going to be not only that, Ril, and this is me knowing my team, it's going to be how we respond to being down. That's actually what I'm the most interested. To be honest with you, when I look at this game, I don't know how we win. If I'm being real and honest with myself, I don't actually know how we win this game. The the what I need to see to have any faith and confidence in this season going forward from this moment is I need to see when we do get down that we respond.
I'm just gonna
A
make it.
loss will hurt. It's going to hurt any
Here's
way
what I'm gonna say to you. No, here's what
that
I'm gonna
you're
say.
born.
That
But
that sounds great. That sounds great as far as responding to adversity, fighting through it. I'm
no,
just saying,
there's no
don't
sounding
get
great.
down.
There's
Don't
no
get
sounding
down.
great.
No, don't get
There's no
down.
sounding great.
No,
It
don't get
has to
down.
happen. It
No,
has to happen.
don't get down. No, this be my advice to
No,
you.
there's no not
Don't
getting down.
get down.
There's no not getting down. I'm
No.
being
You're at
now I'm
home.
being a real honest fan, not a talking head, not a just that. I'm being a real honest.
You cannot play
There's
from behind.
no not
You cannot
getting
play from
down
behind.
against New England.
No,
It
you
just
can't.
isn't. That's not reality, Bill. And I'm not going to when I'm talking about my team in this game, I'm not going to get outside of reality. I'm just not. There's
I
no not getting down. We have to be able to come back. It's just that simple.
I don't think that's the way you win this
Then
game.
we're done. Then it's just
I don't
flat.
think you can play
Then we're
from
done.
behind. I
Then we're
don't think
done.
you can. Yeah, I don't think
Then
you play from behind.
we're done. It's just that simple.
No, I
I'm not
understand what
a
you.
mince
I understand
word.
what you. No, I understand what you're saying. You want to see your team
Uh-huh.
fight through adversity, but I don't think that's
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they have not proven that they can get punched in the mouth and do anything.
right.
Not
Okay.
even
Yeah.
fight back
No.
from
No, you're
adversity.
right. No,
For
you're
real,
right.
I'm talking about fight.
Yes.
I'm talking about put your hands up and block. Once we get punched, we just get dominated.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's true. It's
And I'm
no.
including the 9-6 Jacksonville game into that
Yeah. No,
because
you got no
a
that. No, you
horrible
got
team,
you.
the way
No,
they
you got
dominated
dominated.
you
That was yeah.
is
No,
to
you
keep
got
you, is to do all the things they did to us
yeah.
to make us look horrible and come
Yeah.
down to their level. That's how a bad team dominates you.
Yep.
So when we get beat, we've been dominated full games. Outside the Tennessee was the only game where it went a little bit back and forth, but that was a
Right.
wonky game. I'm not gonna get into that. But
Right.
that's what I need to see to have any faith in the season. Otherwise, I know what the season is either not making the playoffs or early round exit. And it's whatever with that for me as a fan. It's whatever with that. I've seen that
No, I
enough.
hear you. No, I hear you. I hear
Um,
you.
so certain things, this why I'm saying I'm less emotional about this game because certain things have to happen. You know, you got to see certain things from a team
Right.
in a year. You have to. And so the playoffs aren't going to be easy. You're not going to be able to play for head. Oh, we're a great front running team. We
Yeah.
are a
You are. No,
fantastic
you are.
front running
You
team.
are. No, you are.
But that's not the reality, and that's not how the playoffs. That's
Well,
not
no,
how the
you're thinking. So
playoffs
yeah,
work.
you're thinking big picture. Yeah, you're thinking big
Oh,
picture. You're
absolutely,
thinking big picture. Yeah, you're thinking big
absolutely,
picture. Yeah.
absolutely. Because honestly, it's not going to just be this game. We're going to need to take both games. So it's not just about this game. We can't just split. We can't just split. Just split ain't going to do it. Their conference record is too good. A just split is not going to do it. So because that I mean it's a split and they're still up a half a game. And we also have Tampa to play.
So you believe
That's
you
also
believe
a thing.
you believe you have to win a division to get to make the playoffs?
I've stated out in the record. I said only one team is coming out of this division. Because I don't think the wild card team is coming out of this division. I have to think that way as a fan. So I will wholly admit that's not the most rational thought, but I can't figure out the AFC West to save my life.
Right.
I can't figure that out. That jumble to save my life. And so as a fan watching this play out and the other team that's in it, I can't rely on that wild card hope, especially with the way this year is stacking up. So then, and with these two games there, talking about right in front of you, it has to be these two games have to be won in order to win the division. And they're
Uh, I'm looking
spectacular.
at. Yeah, I don't think you have to win both games. I'm looking at the standings right now. I don't think.
Of course, it's not. Like I said,
I don't
that's
think.
not the most rational thought. Of course,
Yeah.
it's not a
I
have
don't.
to,
Yeah.
but
Because
I
remember,
do
it's.
think you have to think that way
Oh yeah. I mean, you sure? Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure the
because
play.
you cannot be certain what the other team's going to do.
Right. Right. No, I hear what you're saying, but I'm just looking at the fact. I mean, a couple of things. Number one, obviously the extra playoff team, the extra with the seventh seed, and also the I'm looking at the bottom half.
I do keep forgetting about that extra playoff team. I
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
Keep forgetting about
that's kind of important. Kind of important.
I do
Kind of
keep
important.
forgetting about
It's
But it
kind
is to all of our defense. This was a weird change in a weird
yep,
year. So pardon me if I don't remember this
yep,
stupid change that
yep,
happened out of nowhere.
yep,
No,
yep. Um,
not
I
little
think,
change. Change
yeah,
that out of nowhere for no reason.
yeah. I think the game will be very close. Myself,
Good for you.
I think the game will be very close. I It's hard to. I mean, it's hard to. I mean, again, it's hard to pick against the Patriots right now, the way they're trending. Uh, Anywhere it doesn't matter. I mean, they play better on the road than they have home, so that you can kind of toss that out the window as far as where home away. You rather have the game home, of course, in front of your fans, but they've been just off the charts at on the road. but I do think you, and realistically, to have a chance to win this game, that you have to jump on them 10, like something like 10-0,
Right
13.
now, that I could see. I
I
could see
think,
10-0. I
I
could
think,
see.
I think realistically to have a chance, I don't think you can win this game playing from behind. I don't. I just there because like to your point, you made a point about your team about being great front runners. They are great front runners as well. Like when they jump, they jump on you. It's they step on your necks. So they don't mess around. They don't like steal a phrase from the Greek freak. They don't play with their food. When they hit you in the mouth, they're going for the jugular. Um, so I don't think you can play from behind in this game by any stretch of imagination to a point, and I'll say it's to a point to where if I won the coin toss, I normally you defer, try to get the second half and double up at the end of the half. I would actually take the ball first if I won the coin toss. If I was Buffalo, to be honest with you, I want to score. I want to score first. That's how vital I think it is to jump on them immediately. To me. Now we'll see how that plays out. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the decisive thing as far as who wins the coin toss, but that's I'm putting that type of emphasis on. If I'm Buffalo, I want the ball first on offense, and try to make a send a message um, right off the bat from that standpoint. Again, it should be a fascinating game to watch. Um, and again, we're going to get this. We the great thing about the NFL this next month is again a lot of these matchups even with Dallas and Washington, are going to be decided within the division. Um, San Francisco has some games against, still has games against the Rams and the Cardinals. No one cares about the AFC. The NFC North and NFC South are like whatever. Forget about those divisions. NFC is still open, still kind of open a little bit. That Dallas stuff are cracking the door for Washington, possibly. I don't, I still would favor Dallas, but they still have two. They have two games against Dallas and two games against Philly, and a game against the Giants as well. So, but in the AFC is again, it's we spoke about that throughout the course of this podcast. It's going to be bananas because there are a number of matchups, and there are a number of teams. There are some teams too that are still that we know probably are not going to make the playoffs, but they're still dangerous down the stretch. Like no one really wants to play. I think Miami right now, the way they're playing, they're a team that could probably is going to spoil somebody's hopes. Um, we know Cleveland is still talented, even though they're not playing well right now. So even there's just not that many bad teams. And even and even some of the and again, even the bad teams have showed up. So again, we say all this to say that we don't know anything
No.
in regards to what these last 5 weeks are
Oh,
going to be in the NFL. We don't really don't, frankly I love it. This is parody. You want to say called parody? This is parody in your NFL season. So definitely looking forward to it. Um, Obviously, the injuries are starting to pile up.
yeah, they are.
Conklin from Cleveland is done for the season. Robert Woods was a big one for the Rams. Um, a couple of others I left out.
Davis White was just
Yeah, that's devastating. No,
done.
that's devastating. We talked about the Saints and
That's
their rash of injuries.
mm,
There are some guys that could be coming back. Jair Alexander and Zadarius Smith could be back for the Packers. Um, you got, of course, Antonio Brown could be back for Tampa Bay. And but yeah, listen. You're gonna see injuries are what they are, especially with an extra week. They're going to be, there's some injuries that are going to be coming down the pike. That's just the NFL. That's
yep.
just the NFL.
Yeah.
And if your team is built the right way and drafted the right way, you should be able to survive any injury outside of your quarterback. For real, for real. If your team is drafted and has the right culture, you should be able to survive any injury with the exception of your starting quarterback. Taysom Hill will start against Dallas tomorrow, more than likely. Those I heard some reports about that.
That's what actually got me down the conference rabbit hole, looking at
Right.
everybody's conference records, because I was like, did the Saints throw the game against us so that their conference record, like it was a non-conference, but their conference record is not great, or it's just average or whatever. So that turned out to be falsehood. But I expected the Taysom Hill offense to be unveiled against us. So I say that to say I'm very interested to see what this looks like. I really am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does he just do with Taysom Hill what he did with Jameis Winston? I don't think so. Right? Like that's not possible.
No. No. Taysom Hill doesn't have that type of arm talent.
Right? And
So
and
no. I mean, if you're Sean
another
Payton, you have to allow him to do Taysom
another
Hill stuff.
lesser head coach, Matt Nagy,
Yes.
would probably do that, but
Yes.
I can't imagine Sean Payton. I just had this thought in my head ever since Taysom Hill really arrived there and all the thing that he just has an offensive package that he's been dying
To
to
unveil. Yeah.
unveil with Taysom Hill. So
Well,
maybe I'm
now,
overthinking that in my head, but it's just like I just can't imagine Sean Payton just having the same offense he did with Winston
no,
and
no,
Hill's offense, or what he's doing with
no,
Simeon as Hill's offense. I just can't
no,
imagine that.
no, no. It'll be very interesting to watch. I mean, there's not a better time to unveil it. With the Saints season seemingly going off the rails. But yeah, I've been curious by that situation from a quarterback standpoint in general. He was the emergency starter on Thanksgiving. Um, and now again, Thanksgiving you get an extra. Well, it's not. It's only has been extra. It's only been a week because they played Thanksgiving. They're gonna be playing tomorrow. So, I, yeah, again, the loss against y'all is not as big because it's a non-conference loss, so that and a non-divisional loss, but they don't have a chance at division anyway. But if you're gonna lose outside the conference at this point in the league in the year, in the season. But that's what I mean. Obviously, that benefits Indianapolis as well, even though that still should be was a game that they should have won more than likely. But it's still, but non-conference loss don't hurt as much. Uh, but no, there has to be a special package uh, that he's going to unveil. Otherwise, to me it wouldn't even make sense to even to start him. Well, I guess at this point it's like whatever. I mean, we've gone as far. We're gonna go with the Trevor Simeon experiment. Experiment. We at this point we might as well play him. I mean, why not? Like, it is what it is. They are still in the hunt, of course, for the playoffs because they had the same record as Washington. Well, no, they actually have a worse because they beat us, but I think they might have a worse conference record. I think that's might be what it is. I swore they were 5-6 like we were. I don't know why we're ahead. Let me look at it now. Or why we're ahead of them. Yeah, they have a worse. We have a better conference record. Oh damn, our conference record actually is great, 5-2. So okay, yeah, because they beat us head to head. I remember that, but our conference record is strong. So yeah, so no, no, I'll be interested to watch that, especially, and by the way, they're catching Dallas' defense at a perfect time to unveil some exotic stuff that nobody has seen because Dallas' defense is I think they can be had a bit. Um, but still, I mean, the Saints are limping in. They're throwing darts right now. They're throwing darts. They are a shell of what they once were, as far as like the defense will play good for a half, and then eventually wear down. But offensively, they're not a threat offensively. And Dallas 100% should win that game. Like 1,000% should win that game tomorrow night. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does with Taysom Hill. I thought he possibly, I thought that he might play against y'all, but then it was like, nah. Maybe he no, maybe it probably was he probably was like didn't want to risk injury because he knew it was going to be Peyton is no fool. I'm not saying he purposely threw the game, but he was like, nah,
Nah, there's no
let's
point. Nah, I was trying to see. Yeah, nah, he
no,
did.
I no, of course he didn't, but he like
Everybody's legit injured. Yeah, everybody's
yeah,
legit.
everybody was legit injured, but it was also like, do I really want to bring him in against this defensive line with some offensive people starters hurt? Just not best against this defense. It wouldn't be in his best interest right now, or our best interest, because we can't afford another. We can't afford to have him hurt. We clearly don't love Simeon, so I can understand him sending him a extra game from that standpoint. So no, I didn't say. Of course, he didn't throw the game, but I can understand why he didn't play him in that game. I put you that way against because y'all still have a top defensive line and against a banged up offensive line with no running game and no receivers does not bode well for your quarterback, especially your quarterback who's had a concussion over the course of the season. Um, yeah, I think we covered everything. Cannot wait till week 13. Well, week 13 is basically here. Tomorrow night, kick off week 13. We are here in December, the money month. This is a month where Belichick, Brady, Rodgers, those guys have gaudy records for a reason. Before I let you go, can you at all figure out what the hell is the deal with the Minnesota Vikings?
Oh
The
no.
most entertaining team in the league as far as competitiveness in their games.
Yeah.
It is like I have to watch Minnesota play. I have to they I just like I have to watch them play because it's coming down right to the wire. Can you figure out Minnesota?
No, not at all.
Like it's
Not at
they've
all.
they've had one. I think they've had one game. See, they've had one game that was decided by more than one score. One.
Yep.
So I just can't. Yeah. It's interesting. They just they are like they they're gonna play. You know what you're gonna get from Minnesota as far as it's gonna be competitive. It's gonna be competitive. You know that. But they're right there as well in terms of the playoffs. At 5 and 6. Um, Not gonna say disappointing loss against San Francisco, but coming off that Green Bay win, I thought that they, similar to Indianapolis, were ready to possibly turn a corner. But then they similar to Indianapolis, they are who they are from that standpoint. They're just you're not counting on them from a week to week basis. Robert Sapp, thanks for joining the program.
All right, sir.
Certainly great good luck come Monday night.
All right.
All
Appreciate you.
we will
We'll
be
do it again on Wednesday.
doing it again Wednesday, and I'm sure I'm not sure. I know that
Yes.
you have a lot to speak on
A lot to say.
after
No matter
after your
what the outcome, I'll have a lot to say.
after your 10th rewatch of the game.
Exactly. Well, only if it goes one way.
Yeah, yeah,
Bosses only get one watch. I don't need to relive that over and over.
yeah. That's no, that's true. That's a fair point. That is a fair point. All right, man. Have a great rest of your evening.
All right, you as well, sir.
Uh, that's gonna wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. Um, a quick program update. If you've been waiting for Insecure this week from me, of course, the show ran on Sunday. That podcast is coming tomorrow. So we will do that podcast tomorrow. Not quite sure yet if we're going to have Tiffany Quinn. Hope to have her, but we'll see about that. But regardless, that podcast will be tomorrow evening, and I'll have it released tomorrow evening. Tonight, this podcast will be put up sometime early tomorrow, so they'll be able to see that and hear this podcast sometime early tomorrow morning. That's gonna wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. Of course, as always, thanks to Rob Sapp for joining me. I will see you next time. Have a great rest of your evening. So long.